Okay, so we're actually going to do two sections today because they go together. Um, they are solving simple inequalities. So, very simply, shouldn't be equal. Be greater than or less than. Okay, so if you had this problem, you're going to solve it like an equation. Okay, you're going to pretend that like this is an equal sign. So you're just going to, okay, that's plus or minus 5, so I do plus 5. And we get x is greater than negative 3. So the big difference on what an equation versus an inequality, maybe it's not a big difference, but when we solved an equation, okay, if I solved this equation and I did add 5 and I got x equals 3, this means plug in 3 to the problem and it'll work. So if, or it should be negative 3, sorry. So if I plug in negative 3 back into the problem, it'll work. So if I took negative 3 and put it back right there, negative 3 minus 5 equals negative 8. True. Okay. This means over here, plug in any number greater than negative 3 and the problem will work. 0, 8, 43, anything bigger than negative 3. So there are tons of answers when we solve an inequality versus one answer when we solve an equation. Okay, so the meaning of it is the biggest idea. Okay, so you could all plug in different on the inequality. You could all pick a different number as long as it's greater than negative 3 and you would be right. Okay. So you will have a problem or a couple problems where you might need to combine stuff together. So I can combine the 1 and the negative 12 together and get negative 11. And then add 11. Which would give me a positive 6. Okay, so there are a couple where you might need to combine a couple things together first. And then it should just be, like on the first page, like 2.2 part, you're just going to add or subtract and you'll be finished. On the second page that you'll do, and you're not going to do a ton of problems, so don't worry about that. It's all the multiplying and dividing. So you'd say, okay, I'm going to divide. And x is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, or you might have that one. Okay, that means divide by 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2. X is less than 20. Okay. Alright, so here is the big difference when solving inequalities compared to solving equations. If I had this problem, I would divide by -3. Okay, and here's the big difference. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, then you switch the inequality. So on this one, it was less than, it becomes greater than. -12 divided by -3 is +4. Okay. Here's something that I see happen. People look at this problem and they want to switch the inequality because the answer is negative. The answer means nothing in terms of do I switch the inequality or not. In this problem, the first problem, we did switch and the answer is positive. This one, don't switch and the answer is negative. The answer means nothing. It's did I divide or multiply by a negative number? If you answer yes to that question, then you switch it. If you answer no, then you don't. So, -3 on the first one, yes, I did divide by a negative. +2, no, I did not divide by a negative. Okay, and it still like works the same if you had, well, let me write it differently. So if you see a problem like this, where the negative is in the very front, you can drop it down with the 3. Okay, so you can switch it and put the negative down here. So this one means divide by -3, so you multiply by -3. Oh, I shouldn't have put equal. Why won't it? Oh, it won't erase because I'm going back too far. So let's say it was greater than. I would switch it to less than -18. Okay. They should be really simple, really straightforward. Just add, subtract, multiply, divide, and you're pretty much done. You might, like I said, you have a couple of those problems on the first page where you might have to combine two things together. But after that, it's just like one thing and you're done. So they should go quickly. Okay, the directions say solve the inequality and graph the solution. You do not need to graph the solution, just solve it. Okay, so like on this one, there's 5 examples, but anything that I put a box around, like that's your answer. Don't worry about it. We'll do some more graphing stuff in different sections. Okay? All right, so this should be a fairly straightforward one. You just got to remember the did I multiply or divide by a negative. If you answer yes, then switch the inequality. Otherwise, it should be relatively simple. All right, have a good day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.